My son stopped speaking after his father died. What he whispered to the cashier at Niston broke me in the best way possible. Theo stopped talking the day after the funeral. One moment he was a chatty 4-year-old who narrated his entire existence. The next he was silent. The child psychologist called it selective mutism triggered by trauma. My husband's sudden heart attack had taken my partner and my son's voice in the same week. For 6 months we communicated through nods, pictures, and the occasional written word as his reading improved. His teachers were understanding, his therapist was patient, and I was quietly falling apart while pretending everything was fine. The silence in our home was deafening. Every night I'd read him stories using all the silly voices his dad once did, hoping to hear Theo laugh. Some nights he'd smile, most nights he'd just stare at the ceiling until sleep came. Last week we were checking out at Niston when Theo tugged my sleeve and pointed to a small Captain America action figure. It was nothing special pair, just a $7.99 impulse buy near the register. I hesitated only because we were trying to be careful with money, since dropping to one income. The cashier, an older woman with kind eyes, noticed Theo's interest. "That's a good choice, young man. Captain America is my favorite too." I expected nothing, the usual nod or blank stare. Theo offered strangers instead. "So quietly I nearly missed it. My son whispered he was my daddy's favorite." 6 words, the first words he'd spoken in 6 months, and they were about his father, the cashier, unaware of the earthquake that had just occurred. Well, he has excellent taste. Captain America always stands up for what's right, even when it's hard. I was frozen, tears streaming down my face in the checkout lane of Newston on a Tuesday afternoon. The cashier looked alarmed until I managed to choke out, "He hasn't spoken since his father died." Those were his first words in 6 months. She immediately came around the counter, ignoring the growing line, and knelt before my son. "Then this Captain America is definitely coming home with you today." She pulled out her employee discount card. "They're supporting heroes, right?" Theo nodded, clutching the action figure to his chest that night. For the first time since the funeral, Theo asked for a specific bedtime story. "The one where the daddy builds a treehouse," he whispered, referring to a book my husband had bought just weeks before he died, a project they had planned to do together. As I read, Theo placed Captain America on the pillow where his father used to sit during story time. When I finished the book, he looked at me with those serious eyes that had aged decades and months. "Daddy can't build my treehouse now," he said, each word careful and measured, "but maybe you and me can try." The blueprint my husband had sketched was still folded in his workshop. I'd avoided that room just as I'd avoided so much that reminded me of him. But Theo was ready to move forward in a way I hadn't been. That weekend we visited the hardware store. Theo spoke 3 sentences to the employee who helped us find the right wood. The following day he spoke a full paragraph to his grandparents about our plan. Words are returning to our home slowly, like birds after a long storm. Sometimes there are still silent days, but now sitting in the half-finished treehouse, Theo talks to his Captain America figure about his dad, burnt memories I thought he might have been too young to retain. It turns out our children hold more than we realize. Parter, they're just waiting for the right moment to share the weight they carry. And sometimes healing begins with 6 words to a cashier who had no idea she was witnessing a miracle in checkout lane number 4.